Picture your life right now. What do you see? If all you see are failures, I want you to know something. That view can change. If you're staring at an endless wasteland, I'm here to show you how to spot the seeds of opportunity. The transformation begins in the most powerful place you can imagine, your mind. In this video, we'll explore 5 proven techniques that turn mental defeats into victories. Each one uses something remarkable you already possess, the incredible power of human thought. Through the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, you'll learn to reshape negative thoughts into an engine for growth. Keep watching until the end, because each technique will build on the last one to construct a bigger whole. By the time we're done, these 5 strategies won't just be concepts. They'll be tools you can use every day. You'll discover how to transform what you once saw as failure into fuel for becoming stronger, more resilient, and more powerful than ever before. Think of it this way. No matter how rough your life might be right now, it could be worse. You can move around and enjoy real freedom. But one of the most famous Stoic thinkers of all time, a man who personified Stoicism and who we still read today, didn't have the good fortune to have a life like ours. I can confidently say that every single person watching this is living a life with more freedom and opportunity than this Stoic did, because he was a slave. This slave's name was Epictetus, and he was born in the year 50 AD. He lived a hard life as a slave, as all slaves do. In fact, his leg was permanently damaged by his master. Yet, despite that, Epictetus became one of the most influential philosophers in human history. So this man, who had nothing, no freedom, no possessions, no right to even live on his own, discovered something profound. While his body was in chains, his mind remained free. He realized that true power isn't in controlling your circumstances, but in controlling your response to them. Epictetus's life did eventually become better, since he was released from slavery. After gaining his freedom, Epictetus didn't become bitter, even though he had every right to be. Instead, he built a school where he taught others how to find strength in adversity. His teachings were so powerful that they influenced Roman emperors, modern CEOs, and even prisoners of war who used his principles to survive unimaginable conditions. We know and honor the name of Epictetus over 1,000 years later. Think about where he started and where he ended, using only the power of his mind. If Epictetus could find freedom and strength while literally enslaved, imagine what you can do with the challenges you're facing. His life proves that your circumstances don't define you. Your response to them does. Let me show you how to apply his wisdom to your life. Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control and others not." Simple, right? But this basic idea can transform your life once you truly understand it. Think about your last major setback. Maybe it was a job rejection, a failed relationship, or a missed opportunity. Now, grab a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On one side, write what you could control about that situation. On the other, what you couldn't. Here's what happens. Most people waste enormous mental energy on things they can't influence. You can't change the weather, so why feel bad about it? As a single person, you can't change an election outcome either. That's decided by millions of people, and you're only one person. If you lose a job where the people in charge aren't being fair, what can you do? That's outside your control. But how you did your work, that was all you. The effort you put into it, also you. This isn't just philosophy, it's practical mental fitness. Every time you catch yourself stressing about something, ask, is this in my control? If it's not, let it go, completely. If it is, take action. Nothing in between. Look at what Epictetus had to work with. He was a slave. He owned nothing and could change very little materially about his life before he was free. Yet he persevered. He kept his mind and his spirit strong. He had a worse deal than we do, yet he lived with it and ultimately overcame it with the help of Stoic philosophy. Let Epictetus be your inspiration. If he could do it, you can too. We call our first technique the view from above. Let me show you how this works with a simple exercise you can do right now. Think of something that's bothering you and work through it like this. Say you just lost a job opportunity you really wanted. Your mind may be racing with thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed." This is where a thought process we call the control principle becomes your superpower. Take that situation and break it down. What could you control? Your presentation? That's on you. What couldn't you control? The other person. Their decision, by design, is outside your control. When you separate these elements, you stop carrying the weight of things you couldn't influence anyway. But here's the best part. Once you identify what you can control, you can develop an action plan. Maybe you can improve your interview skills, build a stronger portfolio, or expand your network. Suddenly, instead of feeling helpless, you're in the driver's seat. That's the kind of mental transition we want to make. Try this with any challenge you're facing. Draw the line separating what you can and can't control. And watch how your perspective shifts from feeling trapped to becoming empowered. Our second technique, self-dialogue, builds perfectly on what we just learned. Once you've identified what you can control, it's time to master the conversation happening in your own mind. Think about how you talk to yourself when things go wrong. Many of us become our own worst critics. "I'm such a failure. Nothing ever works out. I should just give up." Sound familiar? Here's a powerful shift. Instead of letting these thoughts run wild, imagine you're advising your best friend. You wouldn't tell your friend they're worthless after one setback. That's excessively negative, and you know it. You'd say something like, "Okay, what can we learn from this?" Or, "This was a tough loss, but if we recover from this, we can win." Try this right now. Take that situation you just analyzed from Technique 1. When those negative thoughts come up, pause and ask yourself, what would I tell someone I care about in this situation? Then, use that same compassionate, constructive voice with yourself. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, wrote his famous meditations as letters to himself. He knew that self-dialogue isn't just talk. It's how we reshape our entire perspective on challenges. This brings us to our third powerful technique, finding strength through role models. The Stoics understood something crucial. We learn best through examples, not just ideas. Remember Epictetus? He became a role model for countless others, and still is one today. Think about someone you admire who stays calm under pressure. Maybe it's a parent who faced adversity with grace, a politician who leads with poise, or even a fictional character who embodies resilience. The key isn't to idolize them, but to understand their thought process. Here's how to make this practical. When you're facing a challenge, ask yourself, how would my role model handle this? Maybe they'd take a step back before reacting. Maybe they'd look for the opportunity within the setback. Maybe they'd simply accept what they can't change and focus on what they can. Let me give you a modern example. When Admiral James Stockdale was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, he used Stoic principles to survive 7 years in captivity. He didn't just endure, he led other prisoners and emerged stronger, eventually landing a spot as a vice presidential candidate who shared his story with millions. Choose your role model carefully. Look for people who demonstrate real resilience, not just success. Study how they think in addition to what they achieved. Then, the next time you're in a crisis, think about how they would have handled it. We all need help from time to time. So let the example they set help you. Now, we arrive at arguably the most powerful technique of all: reframing your so-called failures. Learn to see failure not as an end point, but as feedback. This isn't just positive thinking. It's a complete transformation in how you process setbacks. Think about Thomas Edison's famous response when asked about his thousands of failed attempts to create the light bulb. "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This isn't just a clever quote. It's Stoicism in action. Edison saw each failure as a data point, not a defeat. And he was one of America's greatest entrepreneurs. This is a man who had completely mastered success. When the history of America and the history of progress is told, Edison is always included. So here's how to make this shift for yourself. Next time something goes wrong, pause before the negative thoughts kick in. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did this teach me? What skills can I develop from this? And how does this prepare me for future opportunities? Let's make this concrete. Say that you pitch an idea at work and it gets rejected. Instead of seeing it as proof you're not good enough, reframe it. You now know more about what your audience wants. You've gained presentation experience. You've built courage by putting yourself out there. Suddenly, that failure becomes a stepping stone. This is exactly what Epictetus meant when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Every setback is raw material for growth if you know how to use it. So start with this, with carefully examining the circumstances every time you used the word failure in your life. This mindset can become even more powerful if you learn to seek out challenging situations. If you search for opportunities where you once would have worried about failure. Most people arrange their lives to minimize the possibility of failure. They stick to what they know, take the safe route, and avoid putting themselves in situations where they might fall short. But every major breakthrough in history, every one, came from someone who was willing to fail repeatedly. The Wright brothers crashed countless times before achieving flight. Marie Curie conducted thousands of failed experiments before winning the Nobel Prize. James Dyson created over 5,000 failed prototypes before inventing the vacuum cleaner that made him world famous. What these innovators understood was that failure isn't just something to be tolerated. It's an essential part of the discovery process. Remember that the goal isn't to fail less. It's to learn more from each failure. When you truly internalize this, you'll find yourself taking bigger risks, pursuing bolder goals, and achieving more success than everyone who played it safe. This brings us to our final technique, one that ties everything together: mental goal setting. The Stoics understood something profound about human nature. We often suffer not from the facts of our challenges, but from how we frame them. Here's what I mean. When you're facing a big goal, your mind might jump straight to the end result. I need to completely change my life, or I have to master this skill immediately. This all-or-nothing thinking is a recipe for feeling overwhelmed and giving up. Instead, think like a Stoic. Break down that mountain into manageable hills. If you want to change careers, don't start with "get my dream job." Start with "research one company today" or "update my resume to version 1." Remember, progress isn't about giant leaps. It's about consistent, small steps. Try this approach. Take your big goal and break it into the smallest possible actions that you can't fail at, that you're sure you can do. For example, if you want to write a book, begin with the goal to write 1 paragraph. Everybody can write 4 lines. These micro goals might seem too easy, but that's exactly the point. Completing 100 micro goals, for example, adds up to one very big, real goal. If your goal is to become a legend, Epictetus did it. He went from slave to renowned philosopher through countless small choices and actions, made day after day. Your transformation can be achieved in the same way. As we approach the end here, let's put it all together. I'll show you how these 5 techniques work together through a real-world example. Meet Sarah, who just opened her dream coffee shop 6 months ago. After an exciting start, she's facing a serious challenge. Revenue is down 40% from her expectations, and she's wondering if she should close down. Let's walk through how Sarah can use each technique to make the right choice and then rebound. First, Sarah applies the control principle. She takes out her notebook and draws that line down the middle, on the can control side. Her shop's quality, her menu offerings, and the effort she puts into marketing. On the can't control side, rising coffee bean prices and an ongoing road construction by the storefront. Immediately, she stops wasting energy worrying about the construction and starts focusing on what she can improve. Now comes self-dialogue. Instead of telling herself, "I'm a failure," or "My dream is dead," Sarah speaks to herself as she would to her best friend. You're learning the hardest part of business ownership right now. Every successful cafe owner faces setbacks like this. For role models, Sarah researches local success stories. She reaches out to the owner of a nearby restaurant, who becomes a mentor, sharing how they overcame similar challenges. Then comes reframing. Instead of seeing the 40% revenue drop as proof of failure, Sarah reframes it as valuable market feedback. Low afternoon sales means she needs to innovate at that time of day. Customer complaints about limited seating gets her to order more seating. Each problem becomes a clue for improvement. Finally, Sarah uses goal setting to break down her turnaround plan. Instead of the overwhelming goal of save the business, she creates smaller, achievable targets. This week, survey 50 customers about their preferences. Next week, test 3 new menu items. End of month, redesign seating layout to add 6 more spots. This is the true power of these Stoic techniques. They don't just help you survive challenges. They show you how to use those challenges to become stronger than before. Whether you're starting a business, changing careers, or facing other life challenges, we hope these principles help you to find your way forward. Drop a comment below about your own journey with these techniques and with Stoicism in general. Your story might be exactly what another person needs to hear to start their own journey toward Stoic resilience. Remember, like Epictetus, you have the power to transform any circumstance into an opportunity for growth. Whether you're drawing that control line in your journal, practicing self-dialogue, or taking those small progressive steps forward, every moment is a chance to strengthen your inner fortress, to turn past failures into present strength. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos about transforming life's challenges into fuel for growth. Until next time, keep building your resilience, one Stoic technique at a time.